Welcome to our exploration of species distribution models, or SDMs. These powerful tools combine observations of where species are found with environmental data to help us understand and predict where species might occur. Over the years, SDMs have become essential in ecology, conservation, and evolutionary studies. They allow scientists to move beyond simple descriptions and use quantitative methods to map and forecast species distributions across different landscapes and time periods. In this video, we'll journey through the history, concepts, and applications of SDMs, highlighting their strengths, challenges, and future directions. Let's begin by understanding what SDMs are and why they matter. Species distribution models, or SDMs, are numerical models that relate species occurrence or abundance data to environmental and spatial characteristics of their locations. These models help us both explain ecological patterns and make predictions about where species might be found. SDMs go by many names, such as bioclimatic models, ecological niche models, or habitat models, but they all share the goal of linking species data with environmental information. Importantly, SDMs focus on individual species rather than entire communities, and they exclude purely mechanistic or process-based models. By integrating data and theory, SDMs provide a flexible framework for understanding biodiversity. Roots of SDMs can be traced back to early ecological studies that described how species distributions relate to environmental gradients. Over time, advances in statistics and information technology have transformed these qualitative observations into robust quantitative models. The development of generalized linear models and geographic information systems, or GIS, enabled ecologists to analyze large datasets and map species distributions with greater accuracy. Today, SDMs benefit from digital environmental data, remote sensing, and sophisticated statistical techniques, making them indispensable in modern ecology. SDMs are used across terrestrial, freshwater, and marine environments, modeling species from plants to animals. Early applications focused on terrestrial plants and animals, but recent years have seen a surge in marine and freshwater studies. Each environment presents unique challenges. For example, sessile species-like plants are easier to model because their environments are relatively stable, while mobile species require models that account for movement and resource use across landscapes. The diversity of SDM applications highlights their adaptability and importance in ecological research. Scale is a critical consideration in SDMs. Both the extent of the study area and the grain or resolution of the data influence model outcomes. Large-scale studies might focus on global patterns, while local studies target specific conservation needs. The choice of scale affects which environmental variables are relevant and how accurately species distributions can be predicted. Researchers must carefully match the scale of their data and models to their study goals, recognizing that there is no single correct scale for all ecological questions. Ecologists use hierarchical concepts to understand how different environmental factors influence species distributions at various scales. For example, climate might dominate at the global level, while soil or topography become more important locally. Hierarchical models can separate these influences, but there is still debate about the best way to handle scale in SDMs. Whether using hierarchical regression, mixed models, or carefully chosen predictors, the goal is to capture the complexity of ecological systems across spatial and temporal scales. Central concept in SDMs is the distinction between geographic and environmental space. Geographic space refers to physical locations on a map, while environmental space is defined by variables like temperature, rainfall, or soil type. SDMs often model species in environmental space, then map predictions back to geographic space. However, spatial autocorrelation, where nearby locations are more similar, can complicate interpretation. Understanding the interplay between these spaces helps improve model accuracy and ecological insight. Spatial autocorrelation occurs when values at nearby locations are not independent. In SDMs, this can result from environmental factors that are themselves spatially structured or from processes like dispersal and movement. Detecting and accounting for spatial autocorrelation is important for building reliable models. Techniques such as adding geographic predictors, using trend surfaces, or applying geostatistical methods can help, but these approaches are still evolving and not always easy to implement. SDMs are used for both ecological explanation and prediction. Early studies focused on understanding the causes of species distributions, while recent work emphasizes predicting where species might occur, especially for conservation or management. Prediction can take two forms: interpolation, which predicts within the range of existing data, and extrapolation, which predicts to new regions or future conditions. Each approach has its own challenges and requires careful model evaluation. Extrapolating SDMs to new environments or future climates is inherently risky. Such predictions often violate key assumptions, like species being in equilibrium with their environment. Factors like genetic variability, dispersal limitations, and changing biotic interactions can all affect outcomes. To improve reliability, researchers use techniques like quantifying environmental similarity, incorporating dispersal models, and testing predictions with retrospective data. Despite these efforts, uncertainty remains a major challenge in extrapolative modeling. Selecting the right environmental predictors is crucial for building effective SDMs. While it might be tempting to include all available variables, experts recommend focusing on those that are ecologically relevant to the species in question. Using functionally relevant predictors improves both the explanatory power and predictive accuracy of models. For example, temperature, rainfall, and habitat complexity often directly influence species distributions, while indirect variables like elevation may only serve as proxies. Examples of functionally relevant predictors include climate variables for plants, water flow and access for freshwater fish, and habitat complexity for birds. Advances in remote sensing and climate modeling have made it easier to obtain these data. However, many studies still rely on readily available but less relevant variables, which can reduce model performance, especially when predicting to new times or places. Careful selection and justification of predictors is a key step in SDM development. Wide range of mathematical and statistical methods are used to fit SDMs. The choice of method often depends on the type of data and the research question. Early models use simple envelopes or distance metrics, while modern approaches include regression-based models, machine learning algorithms, and Bayesian methods. Each technique has its strengths and limitations, and the field continues to evolve as new methods are developed and tested. Envelope models define the range of environmental conditions where a species is found, creating a box in environmental space. Similarity models use distance metrics to estimate how similar new sites are to known occurrences. These methods are simple and useful for sparse data, but they may not capture complex ecological relationships. As data and computational power have increased, more flexible and nuanced modeling approaches have become popular. Regression-based models, such as generalized linear models (GLMs) and generalized additive models (GAMs), are widely used in SDMs. These models relate species occurrence or abundance to environmental predictors, allowing for both linear and nonlinear relationships. They can handle complex data types including presence, absence, and abundance data, and can be extended to account for imperfect detection or nested data structure. Regression models remain a cornerstone of SDM analysis. As the focus on prediction has grown, ecologists have increasingly turned to machine learning methods for SDMs. Techniques like artificial neural networks, random forests, boosted regression trees, and support vector machines offer powerful tools for variable selection and modeling complex interactions. While these methods can improve predictive performance, they are sometimes seen as black boxes and may be less transparent than traditional statistical models. Visualization tools and training are helping to bridge this gap. Not all species data are created equal. Some datasets only record where a species has been found without information on absences. Techniques for modeling presence-only data include envelope models, distance metrics, and newer methods like max-ent and regression with pseudo-absences. While presence-absence data are generally preferred, presence-only models are valuable when systematic surveys are lacking. Ongoing research aims to improve methods for handling biases and evaluating these models. SDMs are not limited to the present. Many studies now incorporate temporal change, using models to forecast future distributions under climate change or to reconstruct past distributions from historical data. Time can be included as a predictor, or models can be used to hindcast or forecast distributions. These applications are especially important for understanding the impacts of disturbances, speciation, and evolutionary processes. Recurring theme in SDM research is the need for stronger links between ecological theory and modeling practice. While statistical advances have driven much progress, some critics argue that SDMs often lack a solid theoretical foundation. Integrating concepts like the ecological niche, equilibrium, and biotic interactions can improve model realism and relevance. Ongoing debates about terminology and model assumptions highlight the importance of clear communication and conceptual clarity. Relationship between SDMs and the ecological niche concept has sparked much discussion. Some researchers distinguish between ecological niche models, ENMs, and SDMs, arguing that ENMs focus on the fundamental niche, while SDMs reflect the realized niche influenced by competition and other factors. However, definitions and data limitations make it difficult to draw clear boundaries. Most agree that SDMs provide useful approximations, but caution is needed when interpreting what aspect of the niche is being modeled. Presence-only data, such as museum records or telemetry data, are widely used in SDMs, especially when absence data are unavailable. However, these data present unique challenges. Without information on where a species is absent, it's harder to assess model accuracy or detect sampling biases. Some argue that presence-absence data are more robust, while others note that absences can be misleading if species are undetected or not in equilibrium. Improving methods for handling presence-only data remains a priority. Most SDMs estimate the average response of species to environmental variables, but some researchers argue that modeling upper or lower quantiles can provide additional insights. For example, upper quantiles may reveal the potential distribution of a species when other factors are not limiting. Quantile regression and related methods are being explored to capture these patterns, offering a more nuanced view of species-environment relationships. Most SDMs focus on abiotic predictors like climate and habitat, but biotic interactions, such as competition, predation, and mutualism, can also shape species distributions. Including biotic predictors is challenging because these effects are often confounded with environmental variables. Some studies have used natural experiments or included host species presence, but modeling biotic interactions remains a difficult and evolving area. Advances here could greatly improve SDM realism, especially for forecasting under changing conditions. Better capture ecological complexity. Some researchers are integrating process-based information into SDMs. This includes modeling dispersal, population dynamics, and landscape changes alongside correlative models. For example, combining SDMs with mechanistic models, or using hierarchical Bayesian approaches, can help account for non-equilibrium situations and improve predictions. These integrative methods are at the forefront of SDM research. Choosing the best model is a key step in SDM development. Traditional approaches relied on p-values and stepwise selection, but there's now greater emphasis on information criteria like AIC and multi-model inference. Machine learning methods use regularization and cross-validation to prevent overfitting. Comparing different model selection and averaging techniques can help identify the most reliable approaches for both explanation and prediction. Robust model evaluation is essential for trustworthy SDMs. Depending on the goal, evaluation may focus on statistical fit, predictive accuracy, or both. Common techniques include cross-validation, split-sample testing, and the use of independent datasets. Performance metrics like kappa, AUC, and correlation coefficients are widely used, but each has its limitations. Learning from other fields such as machine learning and weather forecasting can help improve evaluation practices. Certainty is an unavoidable aspect of SDMs, arising from data limitations, model assumptions, and environmental variability. Addressing uncertainty involves characterizing, reducing, or assessing its impact on decisions. Techniques include model averaging, mapping uncertainty, and sensitivity analysis. Recognizing and communicating uncertainty is especially important for applications in conservation and management, where decisions may have significant consequences. Quality and completeness of species and environmental data strongly influence SDM outcomes. Errors, biases, and missing data can lead to inaccurate predictions. For example, sampling bias in species records or errors in digital elevation models can propagate through the modeling process. Ongoing research aims to develop better methods for detecting, correcting, and accounting for these issues, ensuring more reliable SDM. SDMs play a vital role in conservation planning, helping identify areas of high biodiversity, suitable habitats for rare species, and regions at risk from climate change or invasions. By providing spatially explicit predictions, SDMs inform decisions about protected areas, restoration efforts, and resource management. Their ability to integrate diverse data sources and forecast future changes makes them indispensable tools for conserving biological diversity. One of the most important applications of SDMs is forecasting the impacts of climate change on species distributions. By modeling how species respond to changing temperatures, rainfall, and other factors, SDMs can predict range shifts, identify vulnerable species, and highlight areas likely to experience novel climates. These insights are crucial for developing adaptation strategies and prioritizing conservation actions in a rapidly changing world. SDMs are also used to predict the potential spread of invasive species, helping managers anticipate and prevent ecological and economic impacts. By modeling suitable habitats for invaders, SDMs inform surveillance, early detection, and control efforts. However, predicting invasions is challenging due to factors like dispersal pathways, genetic variability, and novel biotic interactions. Continued research is needed to improve SDM performance in invasion biology. Beyond ecology and conservation, SDMs are increasingly used in evolutionary biology. They help reconstruct past species distributions, study speciation and hybrid zones, and explore phylogeographic patterns. By linking genetic data with environmental models, researchers gain new insights into the processes shaping biodiversity over time. These interdisciplinary applications highlight the versatility and value of SDM. SDMs are often used to identify biodiversity hotspots, areas with high species richness or endemism, and to model the distributions of rare or threatened species. These applications support prioritization in conservation and resource allocation. However, modeling rare species can be difficult due to limited data and unique ecological requirements. Innovative methods and targeted data collection are helping to address these challenges. The field of SDMs is rapidly evolving, with new methods, data sources, and applications emerging all the time. Areas of active development include modeling biotic interactions, integrating process-based information, improving model selection and evaluation, and addressing uncertainty. As SDMs become more widely used, ongoing research and collaboration across disciplines will be essential for advancing the science and its practical impact. Looking ahead, several key challenges remain for SDMs. These include developing better methods for handling uncertainty, improving model selection and evaluation, dealing with presence-only data and sampling biases, and modeling biotic interactions. Addressing these issues will require cycles of development, implementation, and evaluation, as well as stronger links between theory, data, and practice. The future of SDMs is bright, but continued innovation is needed. SDMs are increasingly used to inform real-world decisions, from conservation planning to resource management and policy development. Their ability to synthesize complex data and provide spatially explicit predictions makes them valuable tools for guiding action. However, decision-makers must be aware of model limitations and uncertainties, and use SDMs as one part of a broader evidence base. Effective communication between scientists and stakeholders is essential for maximizing the impact of SDMs. Development and application of SDMs benefit greatly from collaboration across disciplines and sectors. Ecologists, statisticians, computer scientists, conservationists, and policymakers all contribute unique perspectives and expertise. Collaborative efforts help ensure that models are robust, relevant, and responsive to real-world needs. As SDMs continue to evolve, fostering partnerships and sharing knowledge will be key to their success. As SDMs become more central to ecological research and practice, there's a growing need for education and training. University courses, workshops, and online resources are helping to build capacity in modeling, data analysis, and interpretation. Training in new methods such as machine learning and spatial statistics is especially important for the next generation of ecologists and conservationists. Access to high-quality, open data is essential for effective SDMs. Initiatives to share species occurrence records, environmental layers, and modeling tools are making it easier for researchers worldwide to build and test models. Open data promotes transparency, reproducibility, and innovation, helping to accelerate progress in biodiversity science and conservation. As with any scientific tool, the use of SDMs raises ethical considerations. These include ensuring data privacy, especially for sensitive species locations, and considering the potential impacts of model-based decisions on people and ecosystems. Responsible use of SDMs requires transparency, stakeholder engagement, and a commitment to minimizing harm while maximizing benefits for biodiversity and society. Advances in technology are driving the evolution of SDMs. Improved computing power, cloud storage, and new software tools make it possible to analyze larger datasets and build more complex models. Remote sensing, drones, and citizen science are expanding the range and quality of data available for modeling. Embracing technological innovation will continue to enhance the power and reach of SDMs. Striking example of SDM application is the mapping of climate novelty, areas where future climates are expected to be unlike any currently observed. By comparing present and projected climates, researchers can identify regions at risk of experiencing unprecedented conditions, which may challenge the survival of existing species. These insights are vital for proactive conservation and adaptation planning. Another powerful use of SDMs is mapping biodiversity patterns across large regions. By integrating species occurrence data with environmental predictors, scientists can create detailed maps of species richness, endemism, and turnover. These maps inform conservation priorities, highlight gaps in protected area networks, and guide field surveys to undersampled regions. Summarize, SDMs represent the convergence of ecology, statistics, and spatial data technologies. They are used across diverse environments and scales, reflecting the interplay of geographic and environmental processes. Prediction can take the form of interpolation or extrapolation, each with its own challenges. Stronger links between theory and practice, better handling of uncertainty, and advances in modeling biotic interactions are key areas for future progress. SDMs are powerful tools for understanding and managing biodiversity in a changing world. As we look to the future, SDMs will continue to play a central role in ecology, conservation, and environmental management. Ongoing innovation, collaboration, and critical evaluation will ensure that these models remain robust, relevant, and responsive to new challenges. By integrating data, theory, and technology, SDMs help us better understand the natural world and make informed decisions for its stewardship. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the landscape of species distribution modeling.